your situation, how did the rumbling start? Was it from the source cover to this, to this, to this? How did the rumbling start to where what we knew was D Block, what the streets knew was D Block? Because the magazines, that was one thing. You know what I mean? Like in the hood, you never really walked in the projects and seen Source magazine sitting on a coffee table. You know what I'm saying? Like we had Clue tapes, we had this, we had that. That's how we knew what was going on. You dig what I'm saying? How did that start? How did that internal issue start?
I mean, to be completely honest with you, it was a collection of things. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just like one particular thing or this thing.
It's never one thing.
Yeah, it was like, and I kind of, it's like me taking full responsibility for shit because I was, you know, as a kid, you're not going to address a lot of things you're supposed to address as a man. You're not going to be able to identify the issues that you may be able to identify later on in your life. And I didn't like speak on them immediately when I should have spoke on them. So I kind of let stuff build up and build up and build up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Till eventually got
there was a lot of different stuff, and it's like
what was the
when
build-up,
it came to that boiling point, it was, I think, one of the last things that, like, for me, it was because my whole position was, okay, so when we got our first deal, right? Each deal that we had, actually, I was an intricate part of. We had 2 different deals. The first deal that we had was with Motown Universal, right?
Right.
That deal was structured for a Sheek Louch album and a J Hood album.
Right.
They didn't want one without the other, right? So obviously I was a large part of why we got that deal, if I just told you that. So, all right, so we signed that deal. Sheek ended up dropping the Walk With Me album.
Right.
That's where everyone heard the 2 Guns Up single from, right?
Right.
Now, after he released that album with Universal, for whatever reason, he wasn't pleased with the outcome as far as like the marketing and other things like that when the project dropped. So what he did was he started negotiating a different deal with Koch. And at this point, I was already signed and set to release an album with Universal, which, for whoever doesn't know, was a major label. Any new artist would need a major label to be, you know, to prosper and be successful. But at that time, I wasn't looking at it like that. So, like I said, when Sheek went to go negotiate the new deal with Koch, he came to me and was like, you know what? We have a better opportunity for you over here. And he basically explained to me what the splits would be as far as like on a monetary level. He's like, listen, you can stay over here and get 60 to 70 cents off of each album, or you can come over here and get $3 off of each album with Koch. I'm like, listen, I had just signed a deal with Universal. I got like a $35,000 advance or something like that. And I'm like, listen, man, if you guys could get me out of this and get me another deal over there with y'all, it's not even a question if I'm going to go already. I'm going with the big homies, you feel me? Like, you got to ask twice. So they end up maneuvering me out of the Universal deal and getting me over on Koch. I had to put this out there, which was the largest independent company at the time. So we went over there, and the deal that we got over there was structured the same way. But the only difference with this deal was they added a DVD to it. So they got a Sheek Louch album, a J Hood album, and a D Block DVD. Now, at this point, I got it on fire in the streets. Like, it's crazy. Like, on everything, on every mixtape, every freestyle, yo, Tales from the Hood coming soon. Yo, Tales from the Hood coming soon.
Right.
Nigga like, come on, my nigga, you keep saying that shit. When that shit dropping? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so I'm scheduled to drop on Koch. Like, we working on the album. But Sheek come to me, he like, listen, they want me to drop first because I'm already a known and established artist, so they more, they feel more secure and more comfortable with dropping me first.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna be extremely honest. I didn't completely buy that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm out here with the youngins in the streets on the pavement. I know what they want to hear and I know what they're waiting for and all that. But I'm like, you know what? I'm a team player. So, okay, cool. You want to drop first? All right, go ahead. So he ended up dropping first. And
this was what album?
This was the second album. Now, for everyone that doesn't know, like, first and foremost, D Block as an imprint, as far as artists goes, you only have Sheek Louch and J Hood. We're the only artists on that label. And to give you a little bit of backstory on it too, also, like, what everyone didn't know was what D Block is really Sheek's label. Like, Kiss and Styles was just the cosign. So When we
So
got
they don't split up anything.
I mean, they split it, but at the end of the day, Sheik has the last say so with everything.
Right.
So once we get the deal on Koch and I'm supposed to come out, to my knowledge, the budget wasn't cracked because we didn't do anything. We didn't shoot any videos. We didn't, do anything like that. But we started working on my album, and I got to pick the producers that I wanted to work with and all this other type of stuff.
Who was the producer?
I felt like super confident with it. I had Alchemist on the album. I had DJ Premier on the album. I had Kwame on the album. I had Pete Rock on the album. Who else? I had all type of all of the illest producers that you made.
Where's this album?
Locked in the D Block Vaults. I didn't get to take any songs when I left.
Wow.
So so when it was time for us to start working on everything with my album, I just felt like people didn't put forth the same effort or the same energy that they put forth into Sheik's project on Koch. So unfortunately, after we signed the Koch deal and I got my advance, which was, I think it was like $25,000. On a regularly you would have to wait 3, 4, 5 weeks for the advance after you sign the paper. It was just a bunch of different things that happened when we signed the deal. First and foremost, when we signed the deal, they allowed me, and I'm not going to point fingers. I'm not saying they made me do anything, but they kind of advised me to sign it without my lawyer being present. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, listen.
Who's they?
The Locks.
Okay.
We went to the meeting with Koch. Their lawyer was present. They was there. My lawyer was on his way. For whatever reason, he was late. They listen, bro. Nigga, you family. We ain't about to tell you to sign no BS. You know what I mean? Listen. You're the only one that's holding up the bread. As soon as you sign, the funds will get released. I'm like, all right, Sandy will be here in a minute. Just chill. Man, just sign the paper. Ultimately, end of the day, I'm responsible for it. I end up signing the paper. And so now I have to wait on my money. Someone borrowed 25 out of the company account. So basically, they took my advance, and I had
Who's someone?
I'm not gonna name no names like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna be looked at a certain way. But anyway, somebody took the 25 out, and I had to wait till it was replaced, till I got my advance. And unfortunately, while I was waiting, the apartment that me and my mother lived in burned down, and I lost everything that I owned. I lost $10,000 in cash. Everything was lost.
Right.
I end up on the news, in 2, 3 news channels.
Yeah. J Hood and his moms.
Yeah,
so he live with his moms, y'all.
Yeah, all that.
That was what niggas was saying. Wait a minute, he live with
But the
his
thing
moms.
is this, right?
Right.
My mother at that time, she had just learned that she had just been diagnosed with liver disease. So I was assisting her, and on top of assisting my mother,
Pressure.
Yeah, one of my youngest sisters had autism, so I was helping her deal with real life stuff.
More pressure.
Living with her, right? You know what I mean? So
how old was you at the song,
18.
18.
Come on, man.
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah,
the whole
that's a
time
lot.
he's saying this, I want to say, how old are you? This is crazy.
You're supposed to be living with your mother at 18. That's
Yeah,
normal.
ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I know that's what the trolls was saying, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But what the trolls don't know is, right, it's crazy. I moved out at 16, actually. And I had my own studio apartment at 16. My mother ended up getting a crib upstate. That's when I got kicked out of Yonkers School, ended up going to school in Mount Vernon, and I had the crib. But once she moved back to Yonkers, I ended up moving back with her and all that. But when the 25 got replaced, the crib ended up burning down. And when I finally got it after that happened, I got it probably 2 weeks, probably 2.5 weeks after that happened. I ended up getting it. And 25 ain't really nothing, especially when you just experience something like that.
So was niggas holding you down with little pocket cash here, yo, hold this. Yo, your crib just got burnt down, hold this.
I mean, truthfully speaking, though, you know what I'm saying? When I got my 25, I had to basically replace my mother, her furniture, get her a new spot,
Right.
give a couple dollars to the fam, you know what I mean, stuff like that.
Whose fault was it for the fire?
It was. Nobody ever said whose fault it was. All I know, it was a 2-alarm fire. It caught the fire from our building, went to the next building, the power lines. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
So I ended up having to pay for my mom's hotel for 2.5 weeks, getting a new spot. Anyway, by the time I looked up that 25, first and foremost, I didn't get the whole 25 as a whole. I got it in increments. because I'm gonna tell you why I messed up.
555.
I ended up getting. I had the same accountant they had, and I only had 25,000. Realistically, I didn't need no accountant. That nigga charging me 900 a month, and he's not doing nothing but allowing me to take 4,000 out at a time.
You had an accountant,
right,
to get 25.
Facts.
Wow.
And nobody came to your aid. Like, yo, we know what just happened with the crib, with Mama Love, with your sis.
Now that's an interesting question. Now this was the turning point that kind of made me feel a certain way, right? After this took place, like normally I wasn't going to the mother label, which was Koch at the time. You know what I mean? Because I let Sheik and Super Mario and the people that deal with that because I have my trust in them. Something told me one day, just go down there just to check up on things, just pop up. I ended up popping up with one of my guys, and we sat down with Alan Grumpler, who, for anyone who doesn't know, the general manager over at Koch. We sat down, and he like, listen, man, I heard about the unfortunate situation that you just experienced. I sincerely hope that what we was able to contribute and give you like really helped you out.
Too much.
I'm looking at him like,
this is too much.
what you talking about? What you gave me?
Yes.
He looking, he like, okay, man, what you talking about? What we gave you, man? I'm looking at him like, for real, what you gave me? What you talking about? He like, listen, man, we cut a $60,000 check and gave the guys when they came down here and told us that your house burned down and you needed assistance. You know what I'm saying? So we hoped that helped you. I'm like, what you talking about? He looking at me like I'm crazy, like I'm lying. I'm like, bro, I really don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
So when I found that out, and there was only 2 people that had authorization to sign off on behalf of me.
Who was?
I mean, it was Luch and Super Mario. Right. And SP could have, but you know what I'm saying? It was either one of those 3. So when that happened, that kind of like made me feel like a certain way for real. I'm like, man, damn, like.
It's hot for trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars, I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work, you heard. Making fiends leave earth, you heard. Got your baby mama thirst, you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the wave you need to surf, you heard.